Well, hello, Golden Girls. You know why I call you Golden Girls? Because you're my girls, my grandgirls, and you live in Golden. That's why I'm calling you my Golden Girls. This is the second half of The Kingdom of Renly, Adventures in Flatfrost. And remember what happened in the first half? Prince Lucas and Clara were playing with Ruskin. They're playing hide and seek in the kitchen, and Ruskin breathed fire on the blocks of ice and melted all the ice. And now the food's going to spoil if they don't get more ice from the giants in Flatfrost. So what is going to happen next? Prince Lucas and Clara are on their way. They're taking Ruskin to Flatfrost to get more ice from the giants. And I'll read the chapter headings to you again. Okay, there are 10 chapters. Remember, the first 5 you already read, or I read for you. Chapter 1 was hide and seek. Chapter 2 was spoiled, because the children were spoiled. Chapter 3, penalties. Chapter 4, in a pickle. Chapter 5, farewell. That's because they're leaving. They're going to Flatfrost. And now, here are the next chapters that we're going to read. Chapter 6, Snowball. Chapter 7, Gumlock. 8, hard labor. That means hard work. 9, obstacle course. 10, showstopper. So we will start with chapter 6. See, this says chapter 6, Snowball, and it tells me what page to go to. So I need to go to page 53. What page is that? That's 37. So a little bit farther, 55. Chapter 6, Snowball. The wagon, so they're going to Flatfrost in a wagon. The wagon bumped along the dirt road to Flatfrost. Clara and Ruskin rode in the back, and Lucas sat up front with Stefan. Stefan is the court attendant who is going with them. Stefan patted the prince on the back. "This trip will be good for you," he said. "What makes you think so?" mumbled Lucas. "Because it will help you grow into a better person," Stefan replied. "But what about Ruskin?" asked Lucas. "Ruskin will grow too," said Stefan. "And what if he doesn't? Then he'll have to go to Crestwood for training." "He'll come back," said Stefan. "But what if he can't be trained?" questioned Lucas. "Ruskin can be stubborn. He doesn't always listen to commands." "Tell me, how many dragons have you trained?" asked Stefan. "None." "Exactly," said Stefan. "But Andre and Grom have trained dozens of dragons." "But not scarlet dragons," Lucas protested. "True," Stefan said, "but they'll do their best, and you must do your best to correct your own mistakes." I know, Lucas said. Soon they arrived at a stable. At the bottom of the mountain, snowflakes drifted from the gray sky. They changed into their warm fur clothes and transferred the supplies from the wagon. Okay, so they're going there. From the wagon to a sled. Okay, so they were in a horse-drawn wagon, and now they're going up higher and higher where it gets cold. Remember, it gets cold as you go higher? Somebody asked that question. I think it was Acadia asked why it gets colder when you go higher. So that's, you know the answer to that now. And so now they need a sled so they can pull it over the snow. So they transfer everything to the sled. Stefan cracked a whip, and the horses began to head up the mountain. Lucas and Clara watched snowflakes land on their mittens. "They look like frosty jewels," noted Clara. "I wish I could take them home with me." "Me too," said Lucas. Ruskin squawked and tried to catch the snowflakes on his forked tongue. Here's Ruskin. He's trying to catch snowflakes. Lucas and Clara laughed. They began to feel a little better about being sent away to Flatfrost. In the late afternoon, Lucas spotted a cave in the distance. Then he noticed something roll from the mouth of the cave toward them. It began to pick up speed. "What's that?" shouted Lucas. Clara and Stefan looked where Lucas was pointing. "Oh my," Stefan cried. "It's a great big ball of snow." "And it's getting bigger," warned Clara. The snowball thundered down the mountain. Lucas and Clara put up their arms like a shield. "Look out!" Stefan shouted. Here comes this big snowball out of the mountain. Okay, hang on a second. I gotta close the door. There's some noise outside the room. So here we are. They're on their sled. They're going to Flat Frost. And now a big snowball comes down the mountain. Avalanche is coming right at them. What are they going to do? Well, we're going to find out. Chapter 7, Gumlock. Whoosh! Ruskin blew a great ball of fire at the oncoming snowball. It melted instantly. At the same time, Stefan jerked the reins. The horses whinnied and came to a stop. That was close, said Lucas. A little too close, agreed Stefan. Good boy, Ruskin, Clara said, patting his head. You saved us from getting smashed. They sat quietly for a moment and heard laughter. Lucas saw 3 giant children standing at the mouth of the cave. There they are. The children wore shaggy fur clothes and had long, knotted hair. They laughed and pointed in the direction of the snowball. Then 2 grown giants with stern faces appeared beside the children. Suddenly, the children giants became very serious. See how big this giant is in the middle? The little baby, the boy giant, or maybe it's a girl giant. The child giant is holding an elephant. That's how big the giant is. That giant's holding an elephant. So the 2 giants come out and they criticize their children. Lucas had seen giants before, but he never met one in person. His father had told him the giants of Renly were not to be feared. They were very strong beings with troll-like faces, but they were also ice harvesters, fishermen, and ice sculptors for the kingdom. Still, Lucas shuddered at their great size. Look how big they are. The grown-up giants began to walk toward the sled. The children skipped along close behind. Hello, Stefan, said the biggest giant, looking down at them. His wife stood nearby him with their 3 children. There, see the picture there? The oldest boy looked about Lucas and Clara's age. The middle child was a girl, and the youngest was a boy. Okay. Boy, girl, boy. And the oldest one is about Lucas and Clara's age. We're so sorry about the snowball. The children were playing a game and it got away from them, the biggest giant went on. What brings you to the mountains of Flat Frost? Hello, Gumlock. Okay, that's his name, said Stefan, who knew the giant from his ice deliveries. We're on a mission. What kind of mission? Asked Gumlock. The children and the young dragon have gotten into some trouble, explained Stefan. Lucas squirmed in his seat and his face grew hot. These must be the young troublemakers, observed Gumlock. Stefan nodded and introduced the culprits. This is Lucas, Prince of Renly, his best friend Clara Gills, and Ruskin, the prince's scarlet dragon. And what's their crime? The giant children stared at Lucas, Clara, and Ruskin. They couldn't wait to hear what they had done wrong. Lucas scowled. This is so embarrassing, he thought. The young dragon has unthinkingly destroyed some of the king's belongings, Stefan answered, and the children have been in on it. I see, Gumlock said. Yesterday, the dragon melted the ice in the larder during a game of hide-and-seek, explained Stefan. The giant children giggled. The mother giant put a finger to her lips and shushed her children. The king has sent Lucas and Clara to help cut more ice. Gumlock stroked his beard thoughtfully. And what about the dragon, he asked. The dragon will be sent to Crestwood for training when we return, said Stefan. Gumlock nodded understandingly. Cutting ice is very hard work, he said, even for giants. He studied Lucas and Clara for a moment. The children may come along to the lake with us in the morning, he said, and perhaps we can help the dragon as well. Thank you, said Stefan. Then Gumlock helped Stefan unload the sled. Lucas, Clara, and Ruskin followed the mother giant and the children into the cave. Lucas and Clara looked around at the high ceiling and the gigantic furniture. They had never felt so small. See the pictures? There they are, walking up the steps there. Chapter 8, Hard Labor. Okay, this is where they have to work hard. Look, see, Clara has to climb a ladder even to sit in the chair. The prince and Clara slept on beds of straw and woke to the smell of baked bread and mulled cider. They followed the delicious smells into the cave kitchen. The giant children, Tublock, Thea, and Farfalle, so those are the kids' names, Tublock, Thea, and Farfalle, showed Lucas and Clara to a pair of very tall chairs. They had to climb ladders to get into their seats. "Father, may I harvest ice too?" asked Tublock, the oldest giant child. Gumlock smiled at his son's offer. "Not this time," he said. "I want you and your younger sister and brother to take Ruskin to the obstacle course for training." Lucas clapped his hands. "Oh, I'd love to do that." Tublock clapped his hands. "Oh, I'd love to do that," he cried. Lucas and Clara wanted to go with the children, but they knew they had to go with Gumlock. It was part of their punishment. After breakfast, Lucas and Clara helped load a sled with pickaxes. Those are tools for chopping things, digging. Pickaxes and shovels. Another giant, a cousin named Huffy, that's Huffy right there, I can tell, joined them, and off they slid toward the lake. The sled glided to a wide open snowfield. Windswept snowdrifts stretched out before them. "I feel like I'm on top of the clouds," Clara exclaimed. "Me too," said Lucas. A snow-covered lake sparkled in the morning light. Gumlock handed Lucas and Clara shovels. Then they scooped the fresh snow off the ice. When they had cleared a large patch of snow, Gumlock marked a checkerboard pattern. Okay, so the ice is now clear of the snow. It's all flat, and Gumlock drew some lines on the ice. Then Gumlock and Huffy chopped at the ice with pickaxes. Lucas and Clara cleared more snow. "This is tiring," said Lucas. "You said it," agreed Clara. "This is called hard labor," Gumlock said, "and you two are doing very well for your first time." This made Lucas and Clara feel better about what they were doing. They began to appreciate what the giants did for the castle. No wonder Cook had been so angry about the melted ice. Cutting ice blocks wasn't easy. As the sun went down, Gumlock and Huffy loaded the ice blocks onto the sled. Then they covered them with hay. The hay would keep the next layer of ice blocks from sticking. Okay, so they cut out these big blocks of ice, they put them on the sled, and then they put hay all around them, and then they put more ice blocks on top. Back at the cave, Lucas and Clara devoured bowls of stew served in giant thimbles. "How'd Ruskin do in training today?" asked Lucas. "Very well. He's beginning to master his fire breathing," said Tublock. "How long will it take?" Clara asked. "If a dragon is willing," said Tublock, "it only takes a couple of days to get the hang of it." "Is that true?" questioned Lucas. "When I try to train Ruskin, he never listens." Tublock grinned. "We found a way to get him to listen," he said. Thea and Farfalle giggled. "How?" Lucas asked. "We'll show you tomorrow," said Tublock. "My father said you could come with us to the obstacle course." "We'd love that," said Lucas. Then Lucas and Clara had to get ready for bed. They washed. See, even Lucas and Clara, they wash before they go to bed, and I'm sure they brushed their teeth. It doesn't say they brushed their teeth, but I'm sure they did. They washed, climbed up their ladders, and hit the hay. There they go, up the ladder to their bed. Chapter 9, Obstacle Course. Okay, this is where they're teaching Ruskin what he should do on his fire breathing. Lucas, Clara, Tublock, Thea, and Farfalle tromped over a snow-packed trail to the obstacle course. Tublock pulled a sled with supplies behind him. Ruskin bounded ahead of the others. When they got to the top of the hill, the children sledded down into a snowfield. Spread out before them were tunnels, sled chutes, and climbing structures, all made from the snow. Ice targets stretched across the landscape. So there's kind of an obstacle course, and there are targets. Carved snowmen stood in rows, holding clubs, battle axes, and war hammers. There was even a maze of ice and a snow village. Okay, all of those are just carved out of ice. See the unicorn there? Or, it's a Pegasus, actually. It's a unicorn. It's a horse with wings and also a horn on the front. Okay, here we go. Did you make all this? Asked Lucas. We did over many months, said Tublock proudly. This is what we do for fun in Flatfrost. It's a snowy playground, Lucas exclaimed. It's amazing, Clara declared. Let's get to work, Tublock said. We haven't much time before you have to return to the castle. He pulled a big wooden bucket from the sled and set it on the ground in front of the targets. Okay, this must be targets there. See the round holes? I hold in this bucket the secret to dragon training, said Tublock. What's in the bucket? I hold in this bucket the secret to dragon training. What's in the bucket? Clara and Lucas looked in the bucket. Fish? Questioned Lucas. Yes, your dragon loves fish, Thea exclaimed. He'll do anything for it. Watch this, said Tublock. He threw Ruskin a fish. Then he gave Ruskin a hand signal. Ruskin leaped toward the ice targets and shot a fireball through each one. Target practice will help Ruskin gain control over his fire breathing, Tublock said. There's Ruskin with the fish in his mouth up there. You see that? And now he got the fish, so he's running around breathing fire through the targets. Farfalle threw a fish to Ruskin as they moved to the next obstacle. This one will be much harder, said Tublock. Ruskin must disarm the army of snowmen without melting them. Tublock gave a signal. Ruskin raced toward the snowmen. Look, there's the snowman. He just breathes fire on their weapon, and it doesn't hit them. So that's how he does it. He disarmed 12 snowmen and melted 3. Okay. He's not supposed to melt any, so he disarmed 12 and 3 he melted. Clara and Lucas watched in amazement. He's improving, Tublock said. Yesterday he melted 6 snowmen. Then they moved on to the ice maze. Ruskin must enter the maze and find his way to the other exit, explained Tublock. He must control his frustration and his fire when he hits a dead end. Tublock signaled, and Ruskin bounded into the maze. The children walked around the outside of the maze toward the exit. They could hear the dragon galloping and panting up and down the pathways. They clapped and cheered Ruskin on. Ruskin only scorched 2 walls before he found the exit. They practiced until the sun went down. At dinner, okay, so now they're back. At dinner, Gumlock asked, "How did Ruskin do today?" "He's mastered his basic fire-breathing skills," said Tublock. "He is now able to control his fire." "The king will be pleased," said Gumlock. Lucas nodded in agreement. "Now, maybe I won't get in trouble all the time," he said. "Me neither," agreed Clara. Everyone laughed. A few days later, Stefan hitched the team of horses back to the sled. The time had come to go home. "Please come back and visit," said Tublock. "We will," Lucas and Clara promised. Then the prince turned to Gumlock. "Thank you," he said. "I'm sorry we caused you so much trouble." "I'm sorry too," Clara said. "Well, did you learn something?" asked Gumlock. "We sure did," said Lucas. "Now we'll be more thoughtful of other people's belongings." "Somehow, I think Ruskin will be more thoughtful too," said Gumlock. "Definitely," Lucas said. Then they waved goodbye and headed for home. Oh, I think they had a good time. Showstopper. There they go. See the wagon? It's got ice in it. Stefan parked the wagon by the kitchen entrance. Lucas and Clara jumped to the ground. May we go? Lucas asked. Stefan smiled. Yes, you may go, he answered. See you tomorrow, called Clara as she ran down the lane toward home. Bye, Lucas said. Then he put Ruskin on a leash, just in case, and they ran up the stone steps, 2 at a time, to the kitchen. He stopped when he saw Cook. We brought you more ice, Lucas declared. Well done, said Cook. You're right, harvesting ice is hard work, Lucas said, and I'm sorry for all the trouble we caused. Cook dropped his spoon into his mixing bowl and gave Lucas a hug. Apology accepted, he said. Then Lucas headed to the royal library to see his mother and father. Welcome home, son, said King Caleb. We missed you, Queen Tasha exclaimed. Lucas told his parents about their adventures in Flatfrost. I'm glad to hear that Ruskin has improved, said the king. He has, Lucas said. Does he still have to go to Crestwood? Not if his fire breathing is really under control, said the king. Can I set up an obstacle course and prove it? Lucas asked. That would be splendid, replied the queen. Lucas smiled. You are hereby invited to the garden balcony at 4 o'clock for a show of skills. The prince invited Clara's family to come over too. Then Lucas and Clara called the king's men to help set up an obstacle course. They ordered archery targets, suits of armor, and weaponry from the armory. See, there's a suit of armor. The children asked Cook to make tea and cakes for their guests. Then they ran to the balcony and set up chairs and tables. The balcony had a perfect view of the obstacle course below. The king's men had already set up targets and were putting the suits of armor into formation. The guests arrived at 4 o'clock. Lucas ran to the lair, that's where Ruskin hangs out, and got Ruskin. Then he grabbed a bucket of fish from the kitchen. Everything was ready. Stefan blew the royal trumpet and then announced the show. Your Majesties and special guests, he cried. I now present Ruskin, the Scarlet Dragon. The king and queen and Clara's parents clapped their hands. Then Lucas threw a fish to Ruskin and gave him a signal. Ruskin dashed toward the targets and blew a perfectly round hole in each one. Everyone clapped and whistled. Lucas showed Ruskin a fish and gave him another signal. The dragon disarmed the knight's armor and didn't burn a single suit. Everyone on the balcony jumped to their feet and cheered. What's he going to do next? Well done, cried the king. Bravo, Cook yelled. Then, as Ruskin enjoyed his fish, Lucas looked up at the balcony. Father, does Ruskin still have to be sent to Crestwood, or can he stay? The king stood by the balcony railing. Son, the king said with a smile, Ruskin may stay. Yay, Ruskin. The end. The end. Oh, Ruskin. So it was a happy ending. Clara and Prince Lucas learned a lesson. They went and did some hard work. They appreciated how much work it was for the giants to cut the ice. And Ruskin got trained, and Ruskin got a fish. You can see Ruskin fish in his mouth. And they lived happily ever after, or until the next book. That was it. The Kingdom of Renly, Adventures in Flatfrost. I enjoyed reading that one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Or you'll see me next time. I may not see you. Bye-bye.